All right, Spring. Well, we still have a hockey game going on. 8 minutes and 45 seconds remain in game number 82 for the Avs as they trail the Anaheim Ducks by a score of 2-1 on ESPN. If you're listening on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 or worldwide on the Altitude Sports Radio app, you've got Connor McGahey and Mark Mosier on the call this evening when the Avs head into the playoffs. Every single one of those games you'll have John Mitchell on color with McGahey as well. But Wyatt Amat scores his first goal of the
Let's
year
go.
To cut the lead.
Let's go.
In half. Marty Natchez gets on the board with an assist. Jack Drury gets on the board with an assist as well. But a game in which Arturi Lehkonen, Nathan McKinnon, Jonathan Drouin, Val Nichushkin, Devon Taves, Ryan Lindgren, Ross Colton, Cale Makar, and Josh Manson are all not playing in the hockey game, as well as your starting netminder Mackenzie Blackwood. You kind of would expect this to be a 2-1 slugfest with the old Anaheim Ducks.
No, the Ducks should win this game. And honestly, it'll be this Ducks team, look, they're one game under 500. They're the third youngest team in the NHL, but there's something there. Is their head coach a former head coach of the Colorado Eagles?
He is. Greg Cronin, former bench boss in the AHL with the Avs farm system.
Yeah, it's okay. Say, hey, this is an Avalanche minor league, Colorado Eagles coach. Look, the Jared Bednar coaching tree, the Avs organizational coaching tree. Good for Greg Cronin, and yeah, they're gonna get to if this score holds. Man, I sure hope it does, and I really want the Avs to win this game. But no, if this score holds, the Ducks will be 500. On a win-loss basis, they'll be 36-8. That's a pretty good season for a young team. I mean, how about that wrist shot from Mason McTavish? Oh boy,
good hockey player. Good hockey player.
A former very high draft pick, and him and Leo Carlson, Trevor Zegras, my boy, has been playing better of late. So this Ducks team, when Brock Nelson and Marty Natchez and Sam Girard are really your only like upper tier players playing in this game, yeah, the Ducks should win this game.
Yeah, this is looking the way that I expected it to, and I thought it was funny that Kevin Weeks and ESPN had a segment in the second intermission of is this cause for concern that the Avalanche are going to be stumbling into the playoffs? They'll go 3-5-1 in their final 9 games. The answer is no. I mean, when you have all those players out of the lineup, you know what the Avs are? The Avs are not a playoff team when all of those guys are out of the lineup. So it's okay. Just like the last 3 games, there's nothing to actually read into for Avs fans. In this one, they are playing the long game. I think they look at the at least 6-day layoff between tonight and the earliest that you can start against the Dallas Stars in 6 days from right now on April 19, Spring. I think they look at the difference between, well, what's 6 days off versus 10 days off for a player? It's pretty much the same exact thing. We need to get completely healthy. There's obviously bumps and bruises and dings and dents on all of those players, as there is on every National Hockey League player at this time in the year. As long as they're completely healthy, you want to get back. That's where you want to get to. Will there be a little bit of rust in game 1? Yes. But I think even if the Avs were pushing for a higher playoff seed or home ice advantage going into game 82, 6 days off would have resulted in rust regardless. So get ready for that when they start off the postseason. They just have to weather that storm. They got to be like Rory. And if you double the first hole, if you go down early in the first 10 minutes of game 1 against Dallas, just know that it's going to be okay. Keep playing through it, and you won't be wearing a green jacket by the end of round 1, but you will send home a bunch of dudes who are wearing green jerseys.
Yeah, no, I find it hilarious that Nichushkin and Lehkonen out tonight with lower body injuries. Nah. It made no sense to play. Hell, it looks like the Avs are on the power play right now, dude. If Nichushkin and Lehkonen play in this game, they could get at least a point, even against the Ducks team that's a game below 500. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So you don't play Nichushkin. Thank God. Thank God they're not playing them tonight. Like, only bad things can happen. The only reason that Natchez and Girard are playing is because they had missed a few games of late and they were good enough to return. And so just get them back into game rhythm. That's the only reason those two are playing. Brock Nelson would be the one player where it would be like, why are you playing? But I guess you got to fill out a roster somehow, and he's a vet. He doesn't play out of his skis. He's not a burner. He's probably safe. Looks like he'll be safe. I mean, like TJ Tynan he had to play 3 games in 3 nights.
Straight. That's insane. When I saw TJ Tynan as one of the guys that they tabbed to bring up to the National Hockey League, I was shocked. 3 games in 3 nights between the AHL and the NHL. That's awesome.
It is. And so, Tynan just played the last 2 nights on a line with Gabe Landeskog. And, here we have Greg Cronin, the former coach of the Eagles. And now it's Schneecock or Schnee whatever, Schneekirk.
It's like
I can't remember this guy's name.
The School of Rock.
Eagles head coach. Let me get this right.
Schneecock.
No, not Nick Sirianni. I don't want Nick Sirianni. Schneecloth.
All right.
Aaron Schneecloth is now the new head coach of the Colorado Eagles. Okay, so lots of Eagles ties here with Tynan playing, a handful of other Eagles players, former Eagles coaching the Ducks. Let me rank the 4 Colorado hockey games this weekend, okay, in terms of enjoyability for me. Tonight's game, dead last. Dead last with a bullet. Tonight's game sucked. 4 on the list. Third on the list, we'll work to number 1 last, would be the Avs game yesterday. I mean, good on them for the fight. They score 4 goals. That's still number 3. Number 2 is going to be Friday night's Eagles game. And I love that game. That's one of my favorite.
All over. You were my favorite follow on Twitter on game number 2.
Yeah, last night. Well, I don't live tweet the games, but I was like, shoot, I'm actually watching this thing. And I was actually stuck at the station running the board for that game. So I was bored running the board. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to And I figured there's a lot of people who couldn't watch that game who weren't going to pay the whatever it costs to get.
I appreciate it. I loved that.
Yeah, so I was like, screw it. For those who might need updates, I got you covered. But I'm going to go Friday night's game number 2, which I loved. I didn't think it could be topped. And then it was topped. Last night's Eagles game, by far and away, the best, not only the best of the 4 Colorado hockey games this weekend, that's last night's Eagles game. That's one of the best sporting events I've watched, maybe since USA Canada, since the 4 Nations. Last night's Eagles game was a movie. It was incredible, Raj.
It was don't get me wrong, great game, great vibes. Gabe has a secondary assist, and then minutes later, he jumps out of the way trying to screen a shot on the power play, and it hits off of his knee. It goes in. The Eagles tie up the game at 3. They go on to win the game in the shoot. Like, that is an exciting finish. The fact that the locker room was that happy for him, that they embraced him that much is great. I can't wait to watch him play 6 or 7 days from right now. And we did get some news coming up from the NBA spring. 1:30 p.m. Mountain on Saturday, April 19 is the first game of Denver Nuggets LA Clippers. So that may tell us that if the schedule makers across both the NBA and the NHL are having their heads on a swivel, that the Avs might not play until Sunday? Question mark.
Let's see. The Stanley Cup playoffs start on Friday or Saturday. Is it the 19th?
The earliest the NHL playoffs can start is on the 19th, which is a week from tonight.
Okay,
and Guru, no, the game's not over. I just don't feel like talking about a worthless fucking hockey game. So if the Avs score and tie it up.
The Avs have scored! Raj, the Avs have scored!
There we go! Great stuff.
Jack Drury. On the power play. Must have been that power play.
Spring, if I was being completely honest, I was going to do the rest of the show without knowing what the final of the game was tonight because it matters so little. Yes, the earliest that the National Hockey League playoffs can start, rather the Stanley Cup playoffs can start, is a week from yesterday on April 19. The Nuggets will play their first game on April 19, 1:30
Hmm.
p.m. at home against the LA Clippers. So there is a possibility that that means something, that if the teams or the ownership bases have something to say in that, I bet you the Cronkies would be like, "Hey, maybe start the Avs the next day so we can ham and egg this thing."
Yeah, you could do it Saturday night, but this doesn't feel like a series you start on Saturday night. This feels like a because this is maybe the marquee series. So I'd go Sun. I think TNT gets this series. I think TNT has a leg up on ESPN in terms of their presentation,
It's way
their
better.
cachet.
Also, the thing that I noticed tonight, sorry, not to stop you in your tracks
No, no,
as you're
go
on
for it.
like stepping up on the broadcast. Maybe they're doing it because no one knows who's playing for the Avalanche tonight. Like nobody, unless you actually follow them like every single game. If you're just a casual fan, a casual hockey fan watching the game, you have no idea who's on the ice. Um, on the power play, when the puck switches hands and then they take off the nameplate and then they put the nameplate back on, they take off the nameplate and then they put the nameplate back on. That is the most annoying thing I've ever seen.
I didn't even notice it.
Oh, I'm sorry I've ruined it for you now. The next time you watch an ESPN game, go watch the power play and see the nameplates that pop up above the player's head that currently possesses the puck. It's a
Oh, so it's like a
nightmare.
video game thing? And it goes to show how focused I was on this game tonight. I did watch a good chunk of it, don't get me wrong. I'm sometimes a little bit of
Hey, I've scored again. 3-2.
huh,
Charlie Coyle.
look.
2 minutes and 9 seconds
Oh,
to
Charlie
go.
Coyle. I didn't even notice Coyle out there much tonight. So I guess he and Nelson are the two new guys, or the two like good players who I know Coyle's on the third line, but man, he could be a second line player on a lot of teams. He was on the Boston Bruins before he got traded. So him and Nelson playing tonight are the ones that you're maybe like, eh. Even Natchez and Girard, I understand wanting them to get a little rhythm back after being out.
It's probably an Avalanche seniority thing that those two guys, even though they are
Sure.
longtime vets in this league, and that was like the one questioning part that I had in all of this, is because those guys didn't get they didn't get the opportunity to rest. It does feel as though Bednar is like, hey, I'm giving my dudes, like the guys who have been here the longest, they get the night off. And I bet you the conversation is probably had very quickly with Charlie and Brock being like, hey, we're sitting these guys. You're still new to this team. We appreciate what you've done, but we need some veteran leadership. We need guys to bring us into the fight. And look what happens, right? You come back from down 2-0 in this game, and now you've got a 3-2 lead late.
Well, it's actually going to be a great win now for the Avalanche. To carry in, the vibes are going to be good when these guys get on a plane and go back to Denver and they land, and they'll see Gabe Landeskog when they land, and he's coming off great vibes, and now they come home off a win that, like, look, if the Ducks would have won this game, like I said, Anaheim's borderline 500. They should beat these guys tonight. As soon as Nichushkin and Lehkonen are ruled out, they actually should win this game. So, whew, okay. Okay, yeah, that's a good omen. You do ideally in a perfect world want to go into the playoffs on a win. So this is good. This is good
At
right here.
at the very least, if you hold on to this 3-2 victory, like if we're trying to find some meaning out of a meaningless game, if you happen to play LA and the Kings lose the remaining 3 games that they have on the season, you will have home ice advantage against the LA Kings. Like that's the one thing that it might work out for you for. But again, LA still has 3 games remaining and they need to get a point to make
Well, and
sure
then
that that's
so then
negated.
you would have home ice over Edmonton as well, and I do think the Matthias Ekholm injury that really hurts
That kills them,
Edmonton.
dude. It kills them. I
He's their stalwart big defenseman who like can play a little offensively too. But man, when we saw the size and the physicality of Edmonton that I thought was ramped up this season, it was on another level. Ekholm, I think, was the driving force of that, and not having him is huge. Now they did get Stuart Skinner back today. They played the Jets. The Jets had nothing to play for. This was in Winnipeg. They didn't play Hellebuck. They played Eric Comrie. But they did play like Scheifele and Connor and Iaflalo. They played like most of their guys for some reason.
I think tonight would have guaranteed, and they still clinched the President's Trophy this year, so they've got home ice advantage throughout the rest of the playoffs regardless, but a win or a point would have gotten it done. So I think this was, hey, we're going to play our dudes. They still have one game remaining. I would expect game 82. You see none of them.
So I'm just saying, it was a decent win for Edmonton today. Like I guess I won't write them off completely. I will look. I don't love either LA or Edmonton in that series, and it's the 4th straight year of that series. Oh my God!
LA's got to get it done. That dude, today's a monkey off the back day, Spring, right? Rory finally gets the Grand Slam, the career Grand Slam. Finally gets his win at Augusta. It's a monkey off your back season. LA's getting that thing done.
Maybe, probably. Or, we'll see if it's St. Louis or Minnesota on that side of the bracket. It looks like Vegas will be the favorite, and I'd probably expect Vegas to come out of that side of the bracket. But should it not be Vegas, you'll have home ice over all 3 of those other teams thanks to this win tonight. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, guys. Good job, Avs. Woohoo!
I don't think Vegas is going to be the odds-on favorite to come out of that bracket right now. I thought they were tied with I thought Edmonton was tied with them if we looked at the Vegas
Well, the odds makers like Edmonton, and the bettors like Edmonton because of McDavid and Draisaitl, and you get 2 bona fide superstars on your team. And so, look, it could still be Edmonton coming out of that side.
Edmonton minus 140 series winner favorite over LA. As of right now, Colorado and Dallas is a pick 'em both at minus 110.
Look, the fact that the Avs, I saw Avs at minus 1. I saw
empty netter Springer, and guess what? I cannot wait to hear this call tomorrow. Guess who scores?
Yeah, I just checked. It's the Condor.
I cannot wait to hear Connor McGahey have that tomorrow.
Now that's vibes right there. That's vibes on vibes. Eric Johnson scoring.
You hit it. You love the fact that the Avs are going to go into the playoffs on a win for a game that means absolutely nothing. But if we're talking about vibes, and that's been the conversation around Denver sports for the last 7 days is vibes. It was the conversation prior to Michael Malone being fired with the Nuggets. It was the conversation when it happened the vibes were completely off. It was a toxic relationship that had seeped into the on-court product for the Denver Nuggets. That was a vibes firing. This is a vibes win, and that's a vibey goal.
Yeah, no. After Landeskog, EJ's like that next dude. So for him to score the final goal, it appears. And it is. It's final. Avs win 4-2, and Eric Johnson scores the final goal of the regular season. Like that just gives him an extra. It's an empty net goal, but still, it's an NHL goal for Eric Johnson. So, he gets to feel good getting on the plane, getting back to town. Everyone will feel good. There'll be smiles all around. There won't even be because there's always even like a 2% hint of, we're coming off a loss. We lost. So you don't have to deal with that. It's 100% good vibes. And yeah, let's talk. I want to talk about the Landeskog performance last night. Dude, not only is he playing in the playoffs, but he's going to play well in the playoffs. I do think there will be a degree of a minutes restriction to start. And there is no doubt that the NHL speed is a lot faster than the AHL speed. But he really was, by the end of that thing last night, it was clear that he was by far the best player on the ice. Start of the game, he was the best player, but it was close. By the end of that thing, it was a man amongst boys.
Yeah, you could see the difference. And for me, I don't have the advanced analytics on either one of those games. For me, it was just it was eye test. And I think you hit it square in the head. By the end of game number 2, it was, that's a National Hockey League player. And not only was it, that's an NHLer, you can very much Very much see in terms of for me it's positioning. I think that the greatest difference between the American League and the National Hockey League is that everybody comparatively in the NHL is in position at all times, whether it's defensive, offensive, on quick puck possession changes, they're always in the right spot. I it's so funny. I'm gonna bring you into men's league. We have a lot of former NHLers that'll play in our men's league skates with us. They're always in the right spot. Like you always think, oh, I've got this out here. No, there's a dude right there. Like, oh, I'm fine. I can ship a puck out here. I can send a cross-site sauce. No, you can't because there's an NHL right in the way just to bat the puck down. I know I'm talking about men's league as compared to the NHL, but that was the first time I saw it. And then when I actually watched one American hockey league games, and then when I started heavily watching the KHL like 4 or 5 years ago, when you and I were doing a lot of bet the pipes action, comparatively,
I
man,
hate
there is
that
no
war went
league
down. I
like it.
missed the
Those
K.
guys are on it.
Oh no, it's a different level. But you talk about positioning with Gabe, and I mean, look at how he moved and where he moved to, and the decisions he made in and around net on his power play goal. Um, he starts net front, but he then goes behind net and retrieves a pass, and he sends it along the boards, and then there's a puck that is whipped right back to him along the boards from whence it came, but he lets that one go, and then he immediately goes far side to push in front of net, and everything is it's he's not moving overly fast, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly where he needs to be, the exact position he needs to be in. He actually talked about it after the game. He said that, the goals and the points come when you just do the little things right. And Gabe Landeskog is a master of the little things. So he was just so positionally sound on his power play goal. That's why he got it. He earned that thing just by having proper subtle little movements, front of net and behind net. And then after he scores that goal, I mean, he's pumped, he's juiced. Now he's moving faster than I've seen him move in the past, what is that? 100 and whatever minutes of hockey he's played. Well, not full time, not game time.
Yeah,
He's moving faster than
28
he
minutes
has.
of time on ice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving faster than he has since the start of game one with the Eagles. Okay, and then in overtime, in his first shift, now for the first time, now he's got his confidence back,
And there's some juice.
and for the first time, he's pointing, he's signaling, he's directing traffic, and it looked like the captain. That goal got his confidence back, but there were signs even leading up to that goal. The sequence on the secondary assist, his zone entry is clean. The quick dump off, because he knows he's got bodies attacking him on his zone entry. It's an NHL level zone entry. Quick to the right side, quick dump off. Then he moves to forecheck. That third period, after 5 periods of play coming into that, and on the second night of a back-to-back, mind you, the dude
I thought
played on this.
I told you what I thought in Vegas, man. I didn't think they were going to do it. I thought there was no chance he'd play on Saturday.
And he had his best legs in the third period of the second night of a back-to-back. That's a great sign for the knee, too.
You mentioned he looked back, right? He looked energized after he scored the goal. I don't think it's because he scored. I don't think he gave two fucks that he scored that goal. Honestly, because it went off of his shin. It went off of his knee. This is a guy who
earned based on his movement and position, though.
Right, but I don't think he looks at that goal and goes like, "Oh yeah, that was me. That was me." I think you saw a different energy in him, and you saw him at 3-on-3, directing traffic, finding an extra piece of his legs. He scored a big goal at a big time. He tied that game up with under 3 minutes to go when they were fighting it the entire hockey game. I think that's the reason why you saw an extra bit of juice in Gabe. Not because he scored. I don't think he gave two shits that he scored in that one. He went onto a roster, and on a weekend that was all about him. This is a captain, man. This is the third longest tenured captain currently in the National Hockey League, behind Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. Right? No one else other than those two Mount Rushmore players have been a captain longer than Gabe has been. And he brought a weekend that was all about him, which has to feel so weird, right? Because that's not who he is. He brought a weekend that was all about him, all back to the team by just setting a perfect screen in front of net and having, sure, it goes off of him. He scores a big team goal. And I think that's the reason why he ends up stepping back
Well,
up and having a great overtime. It's because they tie the game up.
well, yeah, it certainly adds to it. If it was the thanks for coming, you make it 4-1. You're trailing 4-0. Landy scores with 2 minutes to go in the third. It's 4-1 Silver Knights. Like, yeah, he probably would have been like, "Hey, that's cool."
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Big cheer.
But yeah,
You,
that was
you
the
hear that one
game.
on the bench, big cheer.
That was the game time goal. I mean, dude, why do you play men's league? Gabe Landeskog loves hockey. You
Yeah.
love hockey, and okay, you're down two in the third period. Henderson hasn't scored since the first period. He kept him off the goal sheet in the second period. Now we're midway through the second period, and the energy's starting to build because a couple of scrummy plays have happened where Henderson's losing their composure, and Gabe's starting to feel better as this game goes along. You're only down two. What's the most dangerous lead in hockey? A 2-goal lead. Like, this is still well within reach with half of a third period to go, and the competitor in Gabe is there. And they get one. And now it's 3-2. And now it really probably doesn't even matter what level. He's just playing a hockey game. It just so happens he's good enough that even his first game back is at the AHL level. Most hockey players, who just like to play would love a chance to play in the AHL. Gabe would play anywhere. It was just his knee wouldn't let him. And now he's back, his second game back in 3 years, and they have a chance for a comeback win. It doesn't. This isn't about last night for Gabe. Wasn't about money. It wasn't about anything. It was just about playing a hockey game and trying to win the damn thing. When he realized, I'm not even rehabbing right now. I can play. I can go. So I want to go win this damn thing.
So I saw a very early chat when we started this one. We started with 10 minutes to go in the third period. As soon as we signed on, the Avs scored their first of four third period goals with the empty netter, making that thing 4-2. As we signed on, I saw this chat. Where does Gabe play? Where does he play? Where do you put him?
Right now, I would have after game one, after Friday night, I would have left the door open for third line, but my gut was telling me more fourth line.
I throw him in on the third immediately.
Yeah, now after last night, you play with Charlie Coyle and Ross Colton, and it's a natural fit too.
That's a mean motherfucking line to go up against. Dude, that is not a fun third checking line to go up against.
Yeah, and you're reminded too how good Gabe is in the face-off circle. He had to be somewhat significantly over 50% from the draw last night.
It does help. It does help getting a legit left-handed face-off guy in. Like, if he slots in on power play 1 to get a left-handed face-off player, he's not a center, but a guy who can win draws as a lefty on that power play 1 unit is big. So that you line him up on the left side, so he's winning draws in his backhand rather than Nate having either went to the middle or used his forehand to the board.
Oh, okay. Well, now let's talk about power play 1, because I mean he fits, like he could do that immediately. He could do power play 1 immediately. It's not when you watch the area he covers as the net front guy, he can do that tomorrow in the NHL on power play 1, and he could do it at a high level. I think then who comes off? It's got to be Drew. Is it Drouin?
Yeah, your power play
or
1
is it Natchez?
Your power play 1 unit for me goes McKinnon, Landeskog, Nichushkin in the bumper, Natchez on the right flank, Makar up top. That's your first power play unit.
My initial instinct was Drouin comes off. And I've loved Natchez on power play 1 as a floater, can occupy left wing. But he hasn't, since his debut with the Avs, first few games, he hasn't played much right wing on the power play, because that right-handed shot, it's a little the way the Avs move it. It's more ideal to have a left-handed shot over there. Just the angles play better with a left-handed shot on the right wing. So I'm wondering, but I want Gabe net front, even though Gabe had a one-time look from right wing last night and it looked good. Like Gabe could do that, like we saw Mikko do, like Drouin can do.
I mean,
Gabe can
Nichushkin
also
can. You get two left-handed shots in there. If you want your left-handed shots, you have two. They just happen to be bumper and net front. All they have to do is bump
exactly,
out.
and I'm worried about not having one on the wing, on the right
I see.
wing.
Right, but then we get back into the conversation of even though the Avs power play over the last 5 years, if you take the 5 years of data, they are a top 5 power play unit in the league. There were times where it got incredibly stagnant, right? Like even though Mikko's
Mm-hmm.
one of the most consistent power play scorers over the course of his National Hockey League career since he's walked in after being that number 10 pick, there were times where it stopped moving. And the reason why it stopped moving is because you had your set spots. You had net front, bumper, left flank, right flank, quarterback. And all you did was just zip passes between the flanks and the QB.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you drop it down to the bumper just to try and get a little bit of a look. Or maybe if you panicked, you had to throw it to the corner and then your net front player goes out to retrieve the puck along the yellow striping. Now with those two right-handed shots, it's not ideal exactly for a one-time opportunity, but I don't think the Avs operate best out of a one-time like slap shot regatta umbrella or box plus one. I just don't think they do. I think they work better when they're consistently moving, when that power play then looks like what Edmonton did last year in the playoffs.
And that is what they have been doing more of late. And that that'll mean that there will be moments when Gabe in a rotation will find himself on that right wing. And we did get a glimpse at one slap shot, one time look from that right wing, and it looked good. And honestly, he's actually probably the best suited guy for that on this team now that Rantanen's gone anyways. So yeah, not only do you get an incredible net front presence, and Nichushkin can provide that as well, you also get a guy who can rotate out to that right wing and do it probably better than anyone else on this team.
I think the other thing that you really do have to look at is when the Avs power play isn't going, where does the puck go? It either gets forced, and this is something that McKinnon drives me crazy on, is that when it's not working, he forces a skip pass, which means he's throwing a puck through at least one set of legs and one stick, if not two sticks in a set of legs. It's a skip pass. You hear it a lot in lacrosse when you have a man up opportunity, and he forces it a lot, and it drives me fucking nuts when he's just like, all right, screw it. I hope this works. It's a hope play. The other place that the puck goes when the Avs power play isn't clicking is it stays along the dasher. It just stays along the board and they rim that thing around left, right, and center, and they can never get it off the board. They can never get and the reason why you end up rimming pucks in the power play is to relieve pressure. You just switch sides because, well, that's the side of the ice that no one's on. And unfortunately, when they do that, for some reason, they don't pick pucks off boards cleanly. Gabe's a magician at that. And he puts in the time. Before he got injured, if you saw him during pregame skate, he would step out there and yes, he would work on net front tips. But the other thing he would work on, hard rims across, and he'd be picking them up on his backhand, his forehand, and then he'd just send it back up to a coach at the top of the point. He is excellent at that. It gives you the ability that when you're panicking on the power play, you can send pucks around and know that you can reset your power play in a minute. I don't think Drouin's that guy. I think he's great in the power play, but he's not that guy.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very well said. And one more thing on Gabe, now moving away from the power play, back to the lines. I think we're in agreement, Raj. I think you agreed that we would start him on the third line with Coyle and Colton. But guess what, dude? Look, Drouin is a very good player. And Natchez, I saw somebody mention in the chat, and that person is not wrong, has dipped a little bit of late.
Defensively, too, I think he's been a little checked out.
There could be that. And then he missed a handful of games recently as well with a little bit of an injury. Even before that, though, he hasn't quite been over the past 2-3-ish weeks what he was before that. Still playing well, don't get me wrong. Because I'm just, look, this is, if Gabe Landeskog's at his best, this is what I'm getting at. And throw Arturi Lehkonen in there too, who hasn't been overly productive, though is a little snake bitten, has had some chances. Look, if Gabe's right, he's better than all three of those players. And as this thing progresses, it's not impossible Gabe is playing on the second line. And it's not impossible that Gabe is playing on the top line at some point in this playoff run.
I think it's a round 2 question. And I don't think it's something that is, I don't think that's fantasy talk. Like, I don't think that's out of the question. The reason why I go third line is because I don't want to get ahead of myself. There's been
that's why I'm just forecasting. I'm just trying to be on the cutting edge and the forefront of future possibilities.
I appreciate the hell out of that. And my brain has gone like, you want to talk about forecasting? My brain has gone this way when I watched Gabe play his 2 games. Where my head went, and I can't believe I went this fast, because we've had this conversation about Gabriel Landeskog in so many different ways, where I went, okay, well, maybe he comes back in 1 game and then he doesn't play again till game 5 because his knee blows up, or he comes back for the entirety of the cup run and he really gives it out there, but at the end of the cup run he goes, that's all I got in me. I told you I had Mark Mathot on my show a couple of years ago, who had a not the same type of surgery, but a similar type of surgery. Mathot came back for like 7 games and went, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it again. So I had the conversation of, maybe this is just the playoff run and he decides to go, I'm going to LTIR for the rest of my career, boys. Thanks for one more shot. Where my brain went after game 2 with the Eagles Spring, I went, well, he looks good. And he looks really good on the second leg of a back-to-back and in overtime of the second leg of a back-to-back. My brain went, well, yeah, his knee has been through hell and back over the last 3 years, but his body hasn't taken National Hockey League games. He hasn't taken National Hockey League physical toll in practices and games and playoff runs in 3 years. So is his body a 33, 32-year-old player? It might not be. His body might be in his late 20s. His knee is certainly taken on a beating, but that's where my brain went. I went, well, I know that this isn't the best situation, but you could look at it and go, if he's back and healthy, he ain't 33.
No, that's a fair point. You see that sometimes in sports where, for whatever reason, guys like a little different, but like Daniel Bard with the Rockies, took that time off because he had the yips, but then he was able to pitch in his very late 30s because, he took like 5 years off and there wasn't that wear and tear on his body in his mid 30s. And there's examples like that. But now you're making me think on the flip side of that, once he starts taking those NHL hits, and this is, again, like, I'm saying there's a possibility based on how he looked last night.
Yeah.
And it looked legit as hell that he could be second top line guy by the end of this thing, or at the very least, even if he's getting, let's say, an average of 15 minutes a night in a crucial situation, because Gabe is proving to be so reliable and steady, that you throw him out there with McKinnon for a shift or two, even if he's not playing with McKinnon all game. But yeah, this is still wait and see. Who knows? I mean, this whole story started with the who knows situations, of the flukiest of flukes, the skate to the knee. So who knows what tomorrow brings? One hit could derail all of this. One awkward movement could make it all have been fool's gold. No matter what, it's awesome he got those games, and it's now all but certain he's playing game 1 against Dallas, so he will get his moment back in the NHL. We'll continue to take it day by day, but if you look at the evidence for the best case scenarios, it absolutely exists, and it's not out of the realm of possibility.
The craziest thing that I saw tonight about the Avs, Gabriel Landeskog will become the 50th hockey player that the Avalanche have used this season. 50 hockey players in one season, and they just put up 102 points. And for the last week of the regular season, they went, we don't really care if we win hockey games. 49 players in the regular season, 49 wins, 50 players will happen on game one when Gabe inevitably plays in Dallas against the Stars. That's nuts, man. And Jared Bednar won't even get a sniff for Coach of the Year.
No, then that's a great little note on a case for why Bednar should be the coach of the year.
50
And
hockey players.
that's a lot of hockey players. So like 50s, that's a ton. That's a big clean round number though. And for Gabe to be number 50 is kind of cool. Okay, now a couple things actually before I'd actually forgotten of something I wanted to get to. Then I'll get to my other thing. On the broadcast tonight, and like you mentioned, they're kind of manufacturing some things. But I've seen this on social media. Let's bring it up. The idea of Blackwood versus Wedgwood for game one starter. This is I don't know if it's the Avs and the Ducks and no one's playing. Let's throw some topics out there, but I have seen it on social media. I look, Wedgwood has been very good of late. Gets another win tonight. I'm playing Blackwood if it's me. What say you?
No, it's Mackenzie Blackwood. He's the better of the two netminders. Wedgwood has been good. Don't get me wrong. If Blackwood falls flat on his face in back-to-back games, you do have a very quick leash on him. It's Mackenzie Blackwood. He's the better goalie. He's more technically sound. He was excellent with them to start the year. I think the reason why you see his numbers start to tick down is because the Avs it hasn't just been the last 3 games. I've been trying to tell everyone for the last month and a half that they're playing Dallas. No matter what happens, you're going to Dallas. It's just what is happening. And as a result, the human nature of sports ends up coming in. The team in front of him starts to play poorly. It's Mackenzie Blackwood, dude. It's his time to shine. It's his time to step into a big time role. That is your starter. 100%.
Completely agree. I'll echo everything you said. I mean, for me,
sorry, go ahead.
For me, for Blackwood, man, he was so good that first few weeks out of the gate. Then that shootout in Toronto, is that what that shootout he had? He was awful in the shootout. Remember that?
Who cares?
He's a little bit, but just a little bit.
Show me the last time a Stanley Cup playoff game had a shootout.
I know, but I'm just saying, ever since that, maybe it rattled him just a tick, because ever since then, he's still been good, though. He's still been very good, and Wedgwood's been excellent of late now, but like you said, on the technically sound standpoint, look, Blackwood, and is saved for shootouts, and he's, for by and large, the rest of the way in the regular season, you watch him in the crease, you watch how he plays, it's what you look for. It checks all of the fundamental boxes. Wedgwood, even though he's been very good of late, has relied on a lot of improvisation. Holy shit, let me dive over here. And oh my God, I'm nearly beat. I don't know how sustainable that really is. There's a reason he's more of a career backup. Blackwood profiles as a starter, and you paid the guy to be your starter. You rock with him game one against Dallas.
Just look at his goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. So, obviously, because he plays more games, Mackenzie Blackwood is going to have a higher goals saved above average number this year than Wedgie. If you look at it, if you take that number and then extrapolate it to an average of 60 minutes, that's the best way that you can just eliminate the problem of games played. He almost doubles Scott Wedgwood in goals saved above average. He is statistically a better goaltender. He is stylistically a more sure goaltender. I think there's a reason why Scott Wedgwood is better in shootouts. It's because he's a little bit more loosey-goosey. He can make those types of saves. However, when you watch Wedgie and he's not on his game, where he gives up really bad goals, it's not that he gets beat when he is square to a puck. He'll make those saves. Where he gets beat is where he has to make the second save, or he has to get all the way over to create a grade A scoring chance save, and he gets out of position. That extra pass beats him. The rebound beats him. He's outside of his post. That's where I look at him and I go, I don't need that for the playoffs. I think he's a great backup. Mackenzie Blackwood is the better player. He is your starter going into this. The other one that I see here from Astro, do you wait until game 3 to play Gabe Landeskog? Fuck no, you don't. Absolutely not. Get your best players in the lineup as soon as humanly possible. There is no such thing as saving the juice for Gabe Landeskog in game 3. I don't understand that question mark.
No.
Like, you're playing in Dallas. Do you think that the Dallas crowd is going to be really excited that Gabriel Landeskog is playing in that game? No. The Continental Airlines Arena won't give a damn, or whatever. There's an American Airlines. Continental was
Yeah,
the
it's
New Jersey
American.
Devils back in
Yeah.
the back in the day. Continental's not even a company anymore. The juice doesn't matter, man. If you're looking for the juice, it'll be there in game 1. It'll be there in game 2 for the team, that's the only place that it matters. And then in game 3, if you're worried about like the team losing the Gabe juice, wait until the team gets announced in game 3. That will be it will be 100% the loudest you have ever heard Ball Arena. Ever.
No, far more important than Landeskog's first
Yes, you
NHL
did break
game.
me a little bit.
Far more important than Gabe's first NHL game back being at home at Ball Arena is that he plays game 1 of the playoffs, which every game matters tremendously. You want to ideally win all of them and go 16-0. Now nobody really does that, but my point is that like there's no need to save the pop for game 3. That we're trying to win game 1. And based on what we saw last night, Gabe Landeskog gives you a better chance to win game 1 if he's in the lineup. He's ready to go. I mean, if I'm seeing this comment here in the chat, there's no need to rush him back.
He's already back.
There is no rush. He's ready.
He's back.
He's ready. That's what he showed on Saturday night, last night. He is ready. So you play him game 1, and it'll be mostly like 98% Stars fans in that building. Yeah, Raj, you're right. They're not going to the ovation will be the exact same. It literally would be the exact same, whether it was game 1 or game 3, depending on if the Avs had home ice or not. It's just the first home game back. The ovation will be the exact same either way.
You want to ensure that you get the right bump in game 3. There's one thing that Jared Bednar must do. He has to be in the starting lineup. He has to be on the ice so that he gets actively announced by Alan Roach.
Sure.
He must be in the starting lineup. If that means he's out there for a face-off and he gets off 15 seconds later so that you can get your lines
not
back
even necessary.
That's okay.
As long as nothing goes weird in games 1 and 2.
I'm not talking about saving him. I'm not talking about I'm literally talking from like getting your lines back to he could.
No, I'm saying you don't even have to do a thing like it's Brock Nelson in overtime and you just need him to win a face-off, then get the hell off the ice. Like, no, Gabe's ready. He can play a full shift.
Spring. That's not what I'm saying. You're missing what I'm saying here.
Okay,
You're missing what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you want to get him off, not to save him, not to worry about Gabe's knee. If he's in the lineup, the hockey player is playing hockey.
Sure.
There's no such thing as Gabe being in the lineup as a vanity player, as like a rah.
Sure. Yeah. No, you're right. That would be ridiculous. I'm sorry for even thinking you said that. Yes.
No. So what I'm saying, Spring, and I totally get where you're going there. What I'm saying is that even if you played him for 10 seconds at the beginning of that first shift and you just got him off so that your lines got back together, so that he could go back out this third line, he must start the game. Absolutely.
Oh, well, I was just thinking, dude, just start the Coyle Landeskog Colton line.
Oh, sure, yeah, be my guest. I don't care.
That's kind of what okay, so there was our disconnect. Because I was just like, screw it. Like, I don't have no problem with that.
I also think that's a great idea. Like, let's talk about the start of the series. You want to set the tone, right? We know that the Avs are the faster team. We know that they're the more offensively gifted team. But when Dallas gets to you is when they're overly physical, right? That was the big reason why the Avs, especially when they lost Val Nichushkin last year in the playoff Spring, that they kind of got, and I think it's a little harsh to say they got bullied out of the series because of their lack of personnel that they had. But that's what Dallas does to you. You want to set the tone on this series? Throw out that third line. Throw out the third line with Josh Manson and Eric Johnson on defense. Throw a puck into the corner and let Gabe go through someone, or let Ross Colton bury someone from on their left shoulder into the glass. That's a great way to set the tempo.
Or I'm telling you, he can do a full. He will play multiple shifts with Nathan MacKinnon in these playoffs. He will. Even at least one. He will. Full shifts. That's how good he looked last night. And as long as nothing funky happens, he's only going to get stronger and stronger as every game goes along. So I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. And let's lead in right here. You know, I saw odds on this series to win this series on Twitter today. I think they were FanDuel odds, and I saw the Avs at minus 115, Stars minus 110. Right here on DraftKings, I have it as even on both sides. Both sides, Avs and Stars at minus 110.
Yeah, I got him as a pick 'em too.
The fact, even at a pick 'em, to possibly being a favorite on FanDuel. The Avs are the road team in this series. They're the lower seeded team.
I mean, what that tells you is that Vegas looks at this, or the odds makers rather. I always
It's not just Vegas
it's
anymore.
confused. Also, it's confusing for us to say Vegas in general as the odds
The
makers
Golden Knights, yeah.
because there's a team now. The odds makers are telling you what they think of this series. They're telling you that should be the West Final. And where I have to be very, very harsh and blatant with this is I think the Avs have as good a chance as any team in the National Hockey League to win a Stanley Cup this year. I've mentioned that I think there's 5 teams in the West that can do it. I'm souring on Edmonton because they're not healthy. I could drop it to 4 teams. Maybe I can add LA in as my 5th if I swap them out with Edmonton. They are in a cup window right now where if anything but a championship happens, it feels like they've failed. The Dallas Stars are a really freaking good hockey team. They are deep. They are mean. They have good goaltending. They have good speed. They are coached incredibly well for playoff success. There's a world where they could lose to Dallas in round 1, and I look at the season and I go, what were you going to do? That's the killer thing about how the National Hockey League is set up. I still think they're the better team. I still think they will get through it. But there is a world where I walk out and the Avs aren't playing hockey by the time that the calendar turns to May, and I go, it was still a good year. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's how fucked the West is this year. It is so unbelievably good. It is so unbelievably deep that ESPN put out, we're talking about odds. ESPN put out the graphic in the 3rd period of the odds to win the cup this year. And the odds on favorite, number 1 was Dallas. Number 3 was Colorado. And the President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets, who were the number 1 seed in the Central, weren't even on the screen. That's how good it is.
No, it's a very good Western Conference. What's weird is like, okay, so the series line is a pick 'em. Literally even odds on both sides, minus 110 on both sides.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yet the odds to win the West, Dallas plus 350, Oilers and Avs each at plus 450. So if Avs Stars is a pick 'em, then why wouldn't the Avs and Stars have the exact same odds to win the West? I don't understand that. That's one of those, like, I wish I could talk to an odds maker and be like, why? Look, but okay, I don't know if that concerns me. When I look at the series price, though, and the lower seeded road team has the same odds, and therefore that kind of makes them the favorite to me, to be honest with you. When the lower seeded road team has the same odds as the team that should, in theory, be the favorite, that to me means the Avs are de facto favorites in this series. And I saw FanDuel had them as the slightest of favorites. So the Avs are favorites for all intents and purposes in this series. Why? Because of the improved goaltending, the trade moves, Necas, Nelson, Coyle, Lindgren, Drury, and the X factor has got to be Gabriel Landeskog. I am sorry. I don't see a universe. Well, that's a little too extreme. I will be shocked. I really will be. If Mikko Rantanen goes from 0 to midnight, from 6 to midnight, turns it the hell on. Maybe playing the Avs motivates them because that's what Dallas is going to need. They're going to need Mikko to go off.
I mean, look at him historically, though. He's a top 10 playoff performer of all time.
with Nathan
points per
McKinnon.
game with Nathan McKinnon and Kel McCarr. You can't tell that history without saying that, but he is who his history says he is.
The Avs are primed to win this series. They really are. And the X factor to me is Gabriel Landeskog.
The X factor to me is Miro Heiskanen, whether or not he plays.
Sure, and I was just trying to look up, and it looks like he could play in this series, if not game one.
DeBoer did say that and this was 2 weeks ago, that they weren't expecting him back until game 4-ish at the earliest. There's a very good chance he doesn't play in the series. There's also an opportunity that, hey, his knee's back and is better, and it wouldn't be nearly the type of emotional bump that they would get as compared to the Avs having Gabe Landeskog back in. But Miro Heiskanen's a legit top 5 defender in the world. Him being in the lineup makes this a much harder game. Does it move the line in the odds makers' eyes to a favor for Dallas? I don't think so. He's really, really good. And them without look at how miserable they were on defense last year, even with him in the lineup.
No doubt about it.
They played 5 defensemen. They played 5 D-man. They wouldn't play a 6th.
And, here I got an article written 4 days ago on blackoutdallas.com. And the headline says that the Stars could have Heiskanen suit up for game 1 of the playoffs, but you kind of skim and read through this thing, and it doesn't sound likely, actually. They're saying maybe games 2 to 4-ish, middle of the series-ish. But even the fact that he won't be out there likely game 1 tells you it's a legit injury, because as I said, earlier, it's he could be rushed back is my point.
Sure, he could be, but
because if he was truly ready to go, he'd play game 1.
The guy had knee surgery. They said it was a 4-month recovery process, and he just started month 3.
You never know. Tyler Seguin is coming off of hip surgery that took place at around the turn.
Either.
That took place around the turn of the new year. Who knows, man? Dallas Stars fans are, calling out the Avs, and we talked about this in the last show. So if you want to hear our thoughts on the Avs potentially being cap circumventors with Gabe Landeskog, you can go listen to that. But how am I to know that the same damn thing isn't happening with certainly Tyler Seguin, who it appears will be back game 1 conveniently in time for that?
Well, hold on. So then where does Dallas sit in terms of salary right now? That's my question. So if they're at 91 they don't have any cap space. Yeah, they're operating in LTIR. So if Stars fans are getting upset with Avs fans about Gabe Landeskog, Dallas is doing the same thing. They're using LTIR. It's the same thing. What are we doing here?
Yep.
What are we doing?
Well, it goes to show the IQ.
How much money does Tyler Seguin make? I bet you he makes more money than Gabe Landeskog.
They very well might. And what's funny is that based on what we saw on last night, and look, I've seen Seguin play plenty in his career.
Seguin makes $9.85 million, and he's on LTIR. So what are we talking about? Dallas Stars fans are making a run at Avs fans for loopholing the cap right now, and both Miro and Heiskanen's injured. Heiskanen had knee surgery. He's injured. Sure. I understand that. Both of those players are on LTIR, and the Stars, as of tonight, are operating in LTIR.
Not bring those. That's how they were able, Raj. That's how they were able to get Mikko Rantanen $12 million per year.
Jesus Christ, people are idiots sometimes, man. Is it cap circumvention that the Avs are doing? Yes, it is, but it's also the same thing as Dallas. What are we doing
Dallas
here?
Is doing the exact same thing.
There's a reason why Florida was able to fit in Seth Jones's contract. It's not just because they got some help in terms of salary retention. It's because Matthew Tkachuk hasn't played.
Sure.
Everyone's
doing it. All across the league. It happens all across the league.
You can cry about it when your team isn't doing it. You can cry about it when your team is cap compliant and they're not bringing someone back on LTIR. So if Dallas was in that situation and they were like, hey, we're doing it by the book and no one's coming back in the playoffs for us, but the Avs are getting it, I would kind of understand it because, well, Avs fans did it with Nikita Kucherov and with Mark Stone for years. I would kind of understand it. But when your team is actively doing it at the same time, fuck off.
And
I'm
I'll
cursing a
speak
lot tonight,
just for
Spring.
me here, which should come as no surprise, seeing as how I'm one of the two dudes on this show. I'll speak for me. I never cared, honestly. Like, I found it funny and humorous that like Vegas would circumvent the cap, or at least they would. The optics would be there. And Kucherov in Tampa. Look, the Avs beat the Lightning in the Stanley Cup Finals. I never cared. Like, I never honestly cared. I thought the Avs could beat both those teams. I know Vegas got Colorado a few years ago in the second round of the playoffs. I didn't look at cap circumventing as why Vegas won that series. I just thought Colorado didn't play well. I
No,
thought
the reason
Colorado
why
was
Vegas won the series is because Ryan Graves is an idiot.
well, there's that too.
Ryan Graves cost you a cup. It looks off Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon on back-to-back shot opportunities. What are you doing?
Look, and this is something I was thinking about the other night after we were talking about. It's probably last night when we were talking about the circumventing thing, and I had said, like, Gabe's been out for 3 years. You lay off, but think about what the Avs would be, what they could have accomplished had this never happened. Like, they'd had the last 3 years, like, they could have had at least one conference finals, at least one more Stanley Cup Finals appearance.
Yeah, so I think the question is, knowing what we know now, Nichushkin leaves both of those series. What does the presence of a healthy Gabriel Landeskog do in those situations?
That's a good point. Nichushkin leaves those series either way, right?
He leaves the series either way, both times.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Nichushkin screwed them a little too. It's a good. See, I'm falling back into old habits. I'm forgetting about what Val used to do. I'm like, hey, the playoffs are here, and it was off my mind, dude.
A healthy Gabe. Does that get you past a healthy Gabe, but no Nichushkin? Does that get you past Dallas last year?
Yes, it gets you past Dallas last year. It would have gotten them past Seattle the year before. I don't know about, as you go along, but hell, you get past Dallas last year, and it would have. That's how good of a player Gabriel Landeskog is. Boy, was I reminded by it last night.
Pick. Number 2 overall pick?
Yes, number 2 overall pick. He is such a good player.
Duchesne was the 3 pick, right?
Sounds
Duchesne was the 3rd overall pick. Yeah.
Man, they would have beaten Dallas last year. They would have, even if they had Gabe.
Man,
but that brings up another
thing was everything. Everything, man.
Could you imagine? If
No, don't do that. Don't do that. We're not doing that tonight. We can't do that. We can't put that out into the universe. Don't do that.
No, maybe it's a good thing because, like I said, the last 2 certainly the first one, I had no idea. Last year, even though it had happened the year before, wasn't even on my radar. We talk about shocking things, Malone getting fired, the Mikko trade, and we brought up all these things. Nobody's really brought up Nichushkin leaving both times, and I think last year, I was shocked last year. Even though it had happened the year before, I was still shocked.
The second time was more shocking than the first. Because
it's like you didn't learn from your mistake. You don't realize how important these playoffs are, not even for you. You don't care about this?
Right. The second time was more shocking.
And so I get that. Look, hey, Raj, I get what you said. And, we got no Spring, no jinxing. I'm telling you, last year, it didn't even enter my mind. So maybe it's a good thing that it's entering my mind right now.
All right. This is reverse psychology. I'm
exactly.
All yeah. And Astro does hit it right on the head. The second time was, fooled me once, fooled me twice type of thing. And
yeah, but the good news is it looks like he's in a good way right now.
He looks like he's in a better place. He looks like the team is taking care of him. And I do firmly believe that the team welcoming him back with open arms after hearing what we heard in the offseason of the team being rightfully pissed off about what happened the last 2 years, them welcoming him back in and him showing up big time, right? Him being arguably the most important player on the team, not named Makar or McKinnon. I think that goes a really long way with the individual itself.
Sure. Yeah. And there was a lot of evidence as to where he is taking this very seriously, and he's got an opportunity to do something special here. This team has an opportunity to do something special, and not just win their second Stanley Cup in the prime of Nathan McKinnon's career, in the prime of Cale Makar's career, in the prime of Val's career. I mean, he's one of the most underrated superstars. Superstars probably too much, but elite players in this league. I think Val is damn underrated. He himself has a chance to do something special. Now you throw Gabe getting back in this locker room. I mean, that if that doesn't give every Avalanche player, Val Nichushkin, everybody motivation, what he went through, hell and back, and Gabe is taking nothing for granted and worked his ass off and fought through mental just spells and forms of depression, I'm sure. And for Gabe,
oh yeah, you've seen it on the documentary, man. Like
absolutely,
that guy's mind was shattered,
and he just grinded. If that doesn't get the whole team, Val included, motivated, I don't know what will. What would?
Yeah, there's nothing like the Gabe Landeskog bump that's coming to the Avs in Game 1. All right, so that'll do it for us tonight. Before the playoffs start, Spring and I are going to do like a little pre-round 1 podcast, kind of something along the lines of this. But I do want to wait until the rest of the playoff matchups are completely set, because I want to go over the rest of the league and the rest of the West and actually start to parse out what we think is going to happen throughout the rest of the National Hockey League. So we will do that at some point over the course of the week and prior to the Avs playing Game 1 against the Dallas Stars. We know that is for sure locked in right now. Montreal needs to win a game to ensure that they're the final seed in the Eastern Conference. Calgary stays alive with a 5-2 win against San Jose's Spring. So not only are Minnesota and St. Louis still they're still battling it out for who gets the right to go play Winnipeg or Vegas. They're still not completely into the dance right now. So we'll do that at some point coming up. And then there are things happening. There's nothing set in stone right now. Expect there to be an announcement on Altitude Sports Radio about some sort of Avs viewing party or watch party for at least Game 1, likely both Games 1 and Game 2. And if that's the case, I would assume that Spring and I are there for a live Between the Pipes.
Yeah, no, I mean that has been on my mind, and we haven't been told anything yet. Although I did hear somebody mention to me that one of our sales guys was like, "Oh yeah, we got a bunch of remotes lined up in like all these different places." So
be
yeah,
on the look for that.
my guess had been, and no one has formally told me, that we will be back on 92.5, and I assume that, I don't know if they'll simulcast it on the internet as well.
I think we have the ability to do that.
Well, we could be back on Twitch because we used to be on Twitch when we were on 92.5.
I don't. Yeah, we'll find a way. We'll find a way to make sure that wherever you guys watch this show, if we happen to be on 92.5, we will make sure that you guys can watch it on a digital forum.
Yeah. So man, I am stoked. Well, like Raj said, we'll do a playoff preview show on our social digital internet channels this week. We'll do one of those, and then cannot wait for this Avs Stars series and every post game show after each game. It's the marquee series of the first round. Like this is gonna be the series I think that the whole league talks about more than any other series, that just kind of creeps and drags people in. Even if they don't want to enjoy this series, they're going to be forced to, because it's going to be that awesome. So I can't wait for this series.
This is the official home of your Colorado Avalanche, the official post-game show of your Colorado Avalanche, and the longest-running post-game show in the state of Colorado for your Colorado Avalanche. You guys know where to go. We love all of you. What a great regular season. Yet again, the Avs used 49 players. They win 49 games, 102 points, and player 50 will be the captain, Gabriel Landeskog, when they play in Game 1, either on the 19th or the 20th against the Dallas Stars. For Spring, I'm Raj. We cannot wait to see you guys for another playoff run and hopefully another Stanley Cup championship.